Good morning, Tim Howard, Robbie Earle. I'm Rebecca Lowe. Tim, are they in the title race then?
I think so, yeah. I do. I worry that you heard there in game commentary, they have a game every 3 days coming up to Christmas. There's a lot of points to be dropped or gained. So, but I think, again, I like the rest in rotation. I like the fact that Enzo Maresca tinkers with his squad. He had success with it last year, so maybe they're a little bit more mature. Again, I worry about the senior leadership of lack of senior leadership. But what I do like is they're playing well. They're getting results. They're scoring goals basically without their best player in Cole Palmer, and really without the lap, because he hasn't played a lot and he hasn't really shown that he's up to the speed yet. So that's going to come.
This time last year, Chelsea were flying, but then they faded in and around Christmas time. Do you think they're better this season?
Yes, I think you have to go through those experiences to mature backs and learn, and they have. Tim talked about their best player being Cole Palmer, not available. I'd argue the best player has been Moises Caicedo, again, a player not used today. This was a difficult game. Make no mistake, you go to Turf Moor on after an international break where everybody's been away. It's the early kick-off. There's nothing glamorous about this game. It's about getting the job done. This young team have done that. Will they win the title? I don't think so. But are they in a title race? Absolutely. 3 points behind the leaders.
When you're looking at Burnley, and as I mentioned, they could fall into the bottom three very easily today with West Ham United and Nottingham Forest both playing. Wolves, of course, are at the bottom of the league and quite some distance away, Tim. When you think about Burnley, do you start to get concerned?
Well, I have been concerned. I mentioned that earlier. This is where they're going to be. They're going to be 17th, 18th. If they get out of danger and if they somehow survive and stay in the Premier League, it's not as if they're going to be ascending up the table. They're going to be in this mix the entire season. So they need to get comfortable in that and still figure out a way to find points. They played well today, just not well enough.
All three teams below them have changed their manager. The team above them, Leeds United, the rumours during international break that they were going to change their manager. They haven't yet. Burnley in 17th, out of the bottom three right now, on goal difference low.
So I was just wondering what pleased you about that performance the most. Was it the sort of game management side of things, and what pleased you?
Yeah, it was a tough game for many reasons. Again, after the international break, 12 o'clock in the morning, Burnley away, for this type of pitch. Also, we need to manage players, so it was very tricky game, and the way the players compete, again, another clean sheet. I don't think probably they had just one important chance, that was second half. Then we concede some chaos inside the box, but it's part of the game. And overall, I think we deserve to win the game, and we are happy.
That was the first time you as a manager didn't use Moises Caicedo in a Premier League match. I don't know if you know that, but
no.
does that say how important he is? And
I won't do anymore. It's the last time.
But does that also say how good Andre Santos did in sort of the job that he did today?
Yeah, it was very good. Andre's position is the position that he played today. With us, most of the time he's play a little bit more higher, a little bit in the pocket, but it's because in that position we have Moy. So we try to find solution, space for Andre. But we are aware and we know that Andre's position is the position that he played today. It was very good. I think also Jamie Gittens was very good. So it's important to have all of them on board.
John?
Enzo, you won today. You're hosting Barcelona on Tuesday and 3 points off the top of the Premier League. How much are you enjoying managing Chelsea at the moment? How things are going?
But I'm very happy since I joined the club, not just in this moment. For sure, when you are a Chelsea manager, you know that when you lose one game, it's crisis, and if you lose two, it's a huge crisis. So you have to be aware of that. But I really enjoy, because also, I like to learn. Today we expect Burnley back five, and they were back four. So after 20 minutes, we needed to change the plan, and the player adapt. I learned things, so very happy.
Was it good to be able to bring some players off towards the end of the game ahead of a big week?
Yeah, the idea was especially to manage, risks. This is the reason why he played 45 minutes, was planned. And then the rest, Pedro and Enzo, they had a good international break in terms of recovery energy and recovery also from the injury. And yeah, the rest, I think they were all good.
Keris?
Hi, Enzo. I just wondered, you spread the goals a lot around the team this season, which is a really positive thing, but do you feel like the team have sort of consistent routes to goal, that they know where their goals are coming from?
Yeah, we work in some, some patterns for sure. I said already since I joined the club that I prefer the 5 players at the front to score 10, 12 goals each of them than to have a striker that is scored 40 goals. For sure, if you have a striker that scored 40 goals, you are happy. But, I like the winger scoring goal. I like the winger give assist, like today, Jamie. Enzo arrived inside the box. Malo the other day arrived inside the box. So we work on some pattern to also create chances with attacking player.
And just on that striker point, Liam Delap, since he's come back from injury, it feels like he had, I would say, a better game today than against Wolves, but he's still waiting for that first Premier League goal. Is there anything you think he needs to be working on?
Be patient, that no doubt that the goal will arrive, and the way he works today was very important. Liam, it's also that kind of striker that it's always, you as a defender, you are always worried when he's around you, so that also it's good for the team.
Kieran?
Hi, Enzo. The first goal with Cucurella in Burnley so far up into the attack, which is quite unusual for a club. But is that quite satisfying when something like that, from a head coach point of view, when that pays off and finally breaks them open?
Yeah, absolutely. I think also the first goal against Wolves, if you remember, Cucu was inside the box when we scored that goal. Today again, it's part of the game, it's part of the plan. Sometimes we use the fullback in that way, sometimes in different way. But the important thing is that they are all, aware what they have to do.
He looked like a proper target man, number 9, when he brought the ball down.
And second half, he also had arriving from second line inside the box, if you remember. He had a few moments that they were very good. Yeah, it's good.
Is it about creating chaos? Sorry, is it about creating chaos in the opposition box, like somebody coming from?
No, we try to bring as much as a player we can bring inside the box, because we know that when you have just 1 or 2 players inside the box, it's complicated. But when you fill the box with the 5-6 players, probably you have more chances to score.
Mike?
Was Reece James, did he have a problem when he came off, injury problem?
No, we planned 45 minutes. That's why I said we had many reasons to be happy today, because one of the reasons was also to try to manage player. That is not easy, because me personally, I would like Reece to continue also second half, but we need to protect Reece.
Did you say the pitch was difficult?
No, I mean in terms of type of pitch, in terms of looks small, no, because the pitch was very good. The pitch was perfect. I mean, I would say the dimension, it looks it's difficult.
Bobby?
Hi Enzo. Well, you were about to bring Esteban on at the end until he scored. Was he disappointed not to come on?
I don't think so. If he's disappointed, he's not playing Tuesday. No, it was okay. It was okay.
And it's just been mentioned there about the big week. I know 2 big games against Barcelona and Arsenal. You must go into those games with lots of confidence, though.
Yeah, we are confident. Yeah, we are confident. We are doing well. Today, we could have done many things better, for sure, no doubt. But at the end, it was important to win the game. But we are confident, and we are ready to prepare Tuesday and Sunday game.
Okay, thanks guys.
Thank you.
Burnley 0, Chelsea 2. Chelsea up to second. Shaq, this is one of these games, and I saw a few Chelsea fans commenting before the game, don't care how we played, just get 3 points. It's the early kickoff after an international break. Cole Palmer stubbed his toe. He's out. Caicedo's not starting. He's on the bench. Chelsea won it, got the 3 points, scored twice. How did they play?
They played okay, I guess, against a Burnley team that is struggling down the bottom of the table. Even though this game was at Turf Moor and Burnley, I didn't think that Burnley threatened an awful lot. And I guess it's probably easier to start with Burnley in that I thought, particularly in the first half, they passed the ball well, but never threatened. And you can see why Burnley are as close to the bottom as they are. In fact, I say somewhat tongue-in-cheek, the biggest Burnley opportunity came when Sanchez decided to kick the ball into the back of Enzo Fernandez. So for all Burnley's good passing, sitting in the back and middle thirds, it translated to nothing in terms of meaningful efforts on goal. For Chelsea, to your point, you take your win. That's the only thing that mattered. Coming out of an international break, with players flying to pretty much literally all four corners of the planet to represent their countries. A big week to come, both in Europe and in the Premier League. You take this win however it comes, and then playing somebody like Burnley near the bottom is probably exactly what Enzo Maresca and Chelsea wanted and needed and got. In the end, they got the 2 goals in either half, never really looked troubled. Really well worked goals. Head back to West London and think nothing of it.
As they say, 3 points and up the road or down the road. In this case, especially with Barcelona to come, it would have been easy to take your eye off Burnley and focus on midweek, but that's not what happened. We'll get to the goals in a second. I want to start, though, with an incident that took place in the 26th minute. And Robert Sanchez looks like he takes the goal kick, plays it to Trevor Chalobah, who then picks it up and replaces the ball at the edge of the 6-yard box. Now, this is similar to an incident which happened a year ago in the Champions League, and it was in Belgium. It's Club Brugge against Aston Villa. Emi Martinez kicks the ball out, doesn't get outside the 18-yard box, but he plays it to Tyrone Mings, who's like, I don't fancy this. I'm going to pick the ball up, and I'm going to replace it at the edge of the 6-yard box to take the goal kick. Referee in that game gave a penalty for a handball. Should the referee in this game have given a penalty against Trevor Chalobah for picking the ball up?
Well, I'm going to sit firmly on the fence here because I think a year ago and the incident that you mentioned with Aston Villa and Club Brugge, I think was split right down the middle, and I think similarly it would be split right down the middle on this one. But also I'll echo a lot of these sentiments that people like me and just football fans in general echoed 12 months ago. You could say, yeah, referee just use your common sense. I'm not sure that Chalobah thought that the goal kick was being taken. He kind of wanted to place it in the corner of the box. I think Sanchez, when he touches it off, he thinks, yeah, I'm taking this as a goal kick. But I think, again, I think you poll 100 people, 50 say, I'm fine with it. I'm fine with it just being a goal kick. And 50 kind of screaming, there should have been a penalty. There's precedent to it. Listen, I think this kind of leans into a couple of things. One, I think refereeing is always a little bit more harsh in Europe. And secondly, how games are refereed, as many laws as we may try to write, and as watertight as we may try to write them, it still comes down to the man in the middle, how he feels the game is going, and I stand by that. The man in the middle ultimately makes that decision. So I looking at the game today, and as the incident played out, I had no problem with the referee kind of waving it away and saying, "Listen, this is a goal kick. Let's get on with it." I knew what would come after, regardless. But still, I'm happy. I'm happy with the decision. If the referee decided to give a penalty, I'd say, yeah, it was well within his right to as well.
That is why one day I can see you as president of Trinidad and Tobago, because you don't want to upset anybody. You can see both sides.
No, so let me tell a story. So as I've often mentioned, I served on one of the advisory panels to IFAB, and Colina, the ex-Italian referee, was on that panel, and I always remember him saying, "You have to leave the final decision to the referee on the park." And this is when we were discussing VAR. This is how long ago it was. It was before the introduction of VAR. And he was insistent that you have to leave the final decision to the referee on the park. And to use his terminology, it's like he's the guy who had the smell of the game, is what he said, and kind of gave it some of that. He had the smell of the game. And so the point being, he did not want somebody in some faraway booth behind a television screen to be the final arbiter on any decision, right? I know that happens far too often, even in today's game. I'm with Colina on this. VAR review, send it to the man on the park, let him give a final decision, because he, again to use this term, has the smell of the game, and this is just one of those situations that again, Villa Brugge is one thing, Chelsea Burnley is another, and you trust the referee on the park to have the feel of the game in making those decisions.
I get that. And I think the feel of the game here was the referee made the right decision. It's not like he was closed down and he's like, oh no, what am I going to do? I need to pick it up and pretend I want to take it again. There was no pressure whatsoever. Today seemed to me, again, subjective, to be the common sense decision. Last time out in Belgium, penalty was awarded. You take a chance.
An opinion was split right down the middle with that.
It was.
It really was.
It was. Now, the opening goal. First of all, what have you made of Jamie Gittins? Right, because he's come in, took a little bit of time to settle. He's put the ball in, probably looking for Enzo. But what a run by Pedro Neto, who's in form right now. Brilliant diving header, coming in at the back post, giving the goalkeeper no chance. Really good delivery. It doesn't really matter. It's more putting it into an area, whether it's aimed at Enzo or whatever. And there's Pedro Neto with a brilliant finish.
Yeah, I listen, Gittins, I thought, despite a slow start to his time at Chelsea, kind of emerging in, and this shows the value of having a deep squad, especially at weeks like this, post-international break, as we'd mentioned. And you're right, I thought the ball was a good one. I thought the build-up was a good one on Chelsea's part to start with. And then you drop inside on your right foot, and you're looking for that cross, and you realize you've got two players to hit at that far post. And while your initial, who was the initial target you mentioned?
Enzo was the initial target.
While Enzo is there, you know you can overcook it a little.
Yeah.
Because Neto's coming around far post. So whereas if it was Enzo was the only one there, you have to get that perfect. You may underhit it slightly and the defender gets a touch on the clearance, but you know that if you overhit it slightly, Pedro comes in far post. So you can it gives you that little option to put a little bit more on the board just to make sure you miss out the defender. And once you miss that defender, somebody's going to score. So I thought it was a good understanding of where he was, a good recognition of the run of Neto, and as a result, it dictated his delivery, which he executed wonderfully well. So I thought, really, I thought it was a wonderfully worked goal by Chelsea, and applause all around, especially when you see Neto, who, right, whether he's the primary target or not, when you see how far he comes from to get on the end of that, to give Gittins that option to overcook it just a little. Credit to him.
Still waiting to find out if there's an injury, a significance of the injury to Reece James, but hopefully not, because that kid just can't buy any luck whatsoever. It wasn't Malo Gusto that came on at halftime. It was Benoit Badiashile that came on, and Chelsea didn't start the first half great, but the second half they pretty much controlled a lot of it, and they hit the post through Pedro Neto. Then they got their second goal late on. Mark Guillot getting away down the right-hand side. Again, good build-up, cutting it back. Enzo with the finish. It was like for Burnley today, the first goal was crucial. If they could keep it tight and frustrate Chelsea, but once Chelsea got that goal, they kind of had Burnley at arm's length. It doesn't really matter whether you think it was a 2-goal game or whatever. It's 3 points for Chelsea. It's a very professional performance.
Yeah, I thought exactly that. And to your point, for Burnley to get anything out of this, they needed to score. But Burnley, as I mentioned before, didn't look like they had it in their arsenal to score against Chelsea. So it was just about Chelsea being tight, being secure, making sure that Burnley, making sure that they don't make any mistakes. First of all, to give Burnley either the lead or the way back into the game. And I mentioned the Sanchez error early on, tongue-in-cheek. The Chelsea second goal comes from build-up play that starts with Sanchez all the way at the back, and they play out to that Burnley pressure, and it's Chelsea who later on get numbers forward, and Enzo scores. I thought Chelsea controlled the second half really well. I thought they were very... in possession. They got their wing backs high up the park. They played this very expansive game and invited the pressure from Burnley. When Burnley had the ball, they just got tight, and in recognizing that Burnley couldn't hit them down the wide areas. And I just thought Chelsea managed the game so wonderfully well. So yeah, Chelsea did not blow Burnley out to the water, and you mentioned that the second goal coming very late on, but it was always controlled. It never looked other than an individual error that Burnley would score, and I think give Chelsea credit for that. But certainly, if you're a Chelsea fan, you're appreciative of that. If you're neutral, you think, oh, Chelsea could have done a whole lot better. But if you're sitting in that dressing room, or let me put it this way, Enzo Maresca, I think, is very happy with the way Chelsea managed that second half in particular.
As football fans, we always enjoy the good moments, but then we look back and say, oh, if only we'd beaten Sunderland at home, having lost by 2-1, where would they be right now? So where are Chelsea right now? Up to second in the table. Are they title contenders?
I still don't think so. I still think Chelsea are the fourth best team in the league. Behind the usual suspects. In which order? Take your choice. But I think Chelsea right now are still the fourth best team in the league. But this was a big performance, and as was mentioned in the commentary certainly here, I think psychologically, now you're sitting second in the table. There are games to come for the rest, but not just the rest of today, but the rest of the weekend. But you're sitting second in the table. Psychologically, that means an incredible amount to you. It sends a message to everybody else on the table that, yes, we're still here. We're still to be reckoned with. There may be somebody sitting in his house somewhere thousands of miles away, foolishly saying that we're the fourth best team in the league, but we are here and we are to be taken seriously. And again, Chelsea have learned that.
What a week for Chelsea coming up. Barcelona at home in the Champions League. But I want to focus on the next Premier League game. It's Arsenal at home next weekend. If Chelsea beats Arsenal, then what?
Well, we have a real title race on our hands. I maintain, and while I said Chelsea are fourth, and I think behind the usual three, I think, as of right now, Arsenal are the best team in the league. Chelsea fourth, as I say, and then take a pick between City and Liverpool pretty much. Personally, I think City are second, Liverpool third. But Chelsea all of a sudden gets a result. I think that opens the door for Manchester City. That opens the door for Liverpool. And it not only opens the door, I mean, it is Chelsea kicking open the door, screaming that, yeah, we are here and we have to be taken seriously. This is a huge game for Chelsea. They can make an incredible noise next weekend.
After that game, here's the 6 games in the Premier League that Chelsea will play in December. Leeds, Bournemouth, Everton, Newcastle, Villa, and Bournemouth again. Not a bad run of fixtures.
Not a bad run at all. Certainly the triggies of those guys, I may be biased, but Newcastle, who are not enjoying a good run of form themselves. But on paper, those games are there to be won for Chelsea and should be won by Chelsea. But as the old cliche goes, the game isn't played on paper. That's the only difficulty for Chelsea here. That you go into this run of games you are expected to win them. And if you don't, those are big points against those opponents. The form that they're in, the positions in the table that they're in, those are big points to drop.
So Cole Palmer was back training. And then on Wednesday, he stubs his toe at home. And he's out today against Barca and against Arsenal. Mr. Hislop's household over the years, has Xhaka ever tripped over the dog or done something silly that kept you out of games or ESPN FC?
No. Thank goodness. I don't have those stories. The stubbed toe or the bottle of salad cream that drops in your instep, and I don't have any of those stories. Thankfully, I've got small dogs. I've got 2 dogs that weigh a total of 16 pounds between them, added up. I'm not tripping on any of them little things.
Okay. It reminds me of Kirk Broadfoot, the former Rangers player, tried to microwave an egg and it exploded when he took it out, and that was him out for a while. But look, things can happen. Cole Palmer will be back.
Apparently.
Don't microwave eggs or do silly things. Let's end with Burnley. Burnley, Sunderland, and Leeds were the 3 teams that came up. We thought there might be one of them staying up. Sunderland right now looks most likely.
Sunderland, yeah.
Exactly.
If there's one, it's Sunderland. Sunderland know who they are. Sunderland know who they are. They're very well organised.
They've signed well.
The future of Ethan Nwanery's potential loan move is suddenly uncertain, as Arsenal remain wary of repeating past setbacks caused by injuries. According to recent reports, the club is open to sending the young midfielder out on loan this winter, but the idea raises immediate questions. Nwanery has become the talk of the moment after a report from the Daily Mail suggested that Arsenal are considering a temporary move for the 18-year-old. Despite his limited minutes this season, the thought of letting him leave, even temporarily, comes with significant doubts. Back in October, Mikel Arteta publicly insisted that Nwanery would have plenty of opportunities to play, pointing to the fact that the teenager had already been called upon when Martin Odegaard was injured. "I don't know, but I don't work with expectations," Arteta said at the time. "I work with what the players can give in the context of where the team is at that moment." Ethan played 2 Premier League matches early on because Martin was out. He's played in other competitions and he'll play more. Yet the reality has been very different. Nwanery has logged fewer than 500 minutes this season, appearing in just 5 of Arsenal's 11 Premier League games, none of them as a starter. His only starts came in the 2 EFL Cup wins over Port Vale and Brighton, and in the 3-0 Champions League victory against Slavia Prague. The arrival of Ebereki Eze and the promotion of Max Daumann have tightened competition even further. And despite injuries to Odegaard, Bukayo Saka, and Noni Madueke, Nwanery's pathway has only narrowed. It's easy to forget how young he still is. At 18, and having first debuted at just 15, like Daumann, these are formative years where consistent playing time is crucial. The busy festive period could open that door, but with Odegaard, Madueke, and Kai Havertz all nearing their returns, there's a real chance Nwanery could slide even further down the pecking order. This is why a January loan sounds logical on paper, but it also sets off alarm bells. Arsenal's season has already been shaped by injuries for the 2nd year in a row, and squad depth has never felt more essential. A single setback among the attacking players over the holiday fixture run could thrust Nwanery back into an important role almost overnight. The more sensible approach may be to reassess in the summer, once the squad naturally reshapes and the club have a clearer picture of their needs heading into 2025. Only then would a loan feel more secure, ensuring Nwanery actually gets the minutes he needs rather than risking another stalled development. Even then, nothing is guaranteed. Supporters will remember Serge Gnabry's loan to West Brom, intended to push him closer to first-team football, but ultimately a move that derailed his progress before he rebuilt his career in Germany. Arsenal's recent history with loans has been mixed at best, and too often unsuccessful. For now, the club must weigh the immediate needs of the squad against the long-term growth of one of their brightest prospects. Whether a loan becomes the right option, or another cautionary tale, remains to be seen. But the complexity of Nwanery's situation extends beyond simply playing time and squad depth. Inside the club, there is an ongoing debate about how quickly young talents should be exposed to the pressures of elite-level football. Some staff members argue that Nwanery's technical level is already above many players his age and that keeping him close to Arteta's structure will accelerate his development. Others believe that without consistent starts, and without a clear pathway to earn them, his progress could plateau. The uncertainty has also stirred conversation among supporters and pundits. Several former Arsenal players have expressed concern that the club may be repeating old patterns, where promising youngsters become trapped between first-team aspirations and inconsistent minutes. Others, however, believe the club is being careful for the right reasons, protecting a player who still needs physical development before facing the demands of weekly Premier League battles. This internal and external pressure has placed added scrutiny on Arteta's handling of young talents this season. While he has been praised for trusting academy graduates in the past, the balance has become harder to maintain now that Arsenal are competing on multiple fronts and aiming for silverware. Every decision carries weight. Resting senior players risks losing points, while overusing inexperienced teenagers risks injury or decline in confidence. There is also the broader question of what kind of loan would actually benefit Nwaneri, should the club eventually decide to pursue one. A move to a Premier League side fighting relegation could offer minutes, but expose him to a demanding environment that prioritizes survival over development. A Championship loan, on the other hand, might provide consistent matches, but at the cost of adjusting to a more physical style that does not always align with Arsenal's tactical identity. European options have been mentioned as well, though not confirmed. The possibility of joining a club in the Netherlands or Germany, leagues known for nurturing young talent, has been discussed quietly among observers. Yet Arsenal are hesitant, given how unpredictable such moves can be and how often they fail to produce the expected results. Meanwhile, Nwaneri himself remains focused and professional, according to those around the training ground. He is said to be eager for opportunities, but not frustrated or discouraged. The coaching staff admire his attitude, which only complicates the decision further. He is doing everything right, and still his future remains uncertain. As Arsenal approach the January window, the club finds itself at a crossroads. The next few weeks will likely be decisive, not just for Nwaneri's short-term career, but for how Arsenal choose to manage their most gifted prospects in an era of high expectations and relentless schedules. Any decision made now will be examined closely, not only because of what it means for Nwaneri, but because it will signal how the club intends to balance ambition with development as they move into the next phase of Arteta's project. Arsenal now face a difficult setback. Piero Hincapié may have to step into the North London derby under less than ideal circumstances after Gabriel's injury blow. The club is hoping that Hincapié's long late return trip to North London won't affect his readiness to replace Gabriel against Tottenham, because losing the Brazilian for such a crucial match is a major hit to Mikel Arteta's plans. Arsenal have already been forced to cope with key absences at various stages of the season, but Gabriel missing the derby presents a challenge of a very different magnitude. Naturally, the focus shifts to who will fill the gap on the left side of Arsenal's defense, and for many, the most logical answer is Piero Hincapié. The summer signing impressed during his only start for the club so far, an outstanding display at left centre-back in the League Cup win over Brighton. That night, he partnered with Christian Mosquera, who is also an option for Arteta on Sunday. One possible configuration would see William Saliba move to the left, with Mosquera taking his place on the right, depending on how heavily Hincapié's international travel weighs on Arteta's decision. And that travel is far from insignificant. The Ecuadorian defender is currently away with his national team. He captained Ecuador during their 0-0 draw with Canada, helping secure the clean sheet. But the real concern comes with his final international fixture. Ecuador face New Zealand in New Jersey in the early hours of Wednesday morning, UK time. The match kicks off at 1:30 a.m. and is expected to finish around 4 a.m. Only after that will Hincapié board his flight back to England, meaning he won't arrive in London until Wednesday afternoon at the earliest. From there, he will have just a handful of days to recover, settle back in, and prepare for one of the most intense fixtures of the season. The slight silver lining is that the derby falls late in the weekend, giving him as much time as possible to reintegrate. Still, the timing of his return is far from ideal and adds yet another layer of uncertainty to Arsenal's defensive preparations ahead of a match that could define their momentum for weeks to come. Beyond the logistical headache, Arteta and his staff must also consider the physical and tactical demands that a North London derby imposes. It is not the sort of match where a defender can arrive underprepared, particularly against a Tottenham side that has looked sharp in attack this season. Any hesitation, any lapse in intensity caused by travel fatigue, could be costly. Inside Arsenal, there is a quiet concern that the club may once again be walking a tightrope with its defensive depth. Over the past 2 seasons, injuries at the back have forced Arteta into uncomfortable choices, and Gabriel's setback reopens a conversation that the club hoped was behind them. The manager has repeatedly emphasized the importance of continuity across the defensive line, especially given how central the high defensive line and controlled build-up are to Arsenal's identity. Gabriel and Saliba have been at the core of that stability, and disrupting it inevitably changes the team's rhythm. Analysts close to the club have noted that Hincapié's profile fits the role well, confident under pressure, quick across the ground, and capable of progressing the ball with either foot. However, they also caution that he is still adapting to the Premier League's pace and physicality. Throwing him straight into a derby environment may accelerate his integration, but it also carries risk. Supporters have expressed mixed reactions as well. Many are eager to see Hincapié given a real opportunity, believing his style suits Arsenal's long-term plans. Others worry that asking him to deliver immediately, under difficult circumstances, could place unnecessary pressure on a player still in the early stages of adjusting to English football. The timing of Gabriel's injury also complicates Arsenal's broader goals. With a congested winter schedule approaching and the title race tightening, every match takes on heightened importance. Dropping points against Tottenham could shift momentum, not just in the standings but in confidence across the squad. It also forces Arteta to rethink how he manages minutes for defenders who have already logged heavy workloads this season. Club insiders say the staff have been preparing contingency plans for weeks, anticipating scenarios where international duties and injuries overlap. Yet even the best planning can be stretched thin when travel delays and late-night kickoffs are added to the equation. In the coming days, the medical and performance teams will conduct assessments to determine exactly how ready Hincapie is for Sunday's showdown. Arteta is expected to make a late decision, balancing long-term health with short-term necessity. The hope is that the Ecuadorian arrives in good condition, responds well to training, and can at least offer a reliable solution in Gabriel's absence. What remains undeniable is that Arsenal enter the derby under a new layer of pressure, forced to adapt, to trust their depth, and to test the resilience that has been a defining theme of their season so far.